There's a kind of tired that sleep doesn't fix. And it's not because you've been doing too much. It's because you've been managing everyone around you all day. You're sitting in your car and you don't want to go inside, but you don't want to stay here either. If that's you right now, or that has been you, this video is for you. There's something you may not know yet, and that is that exhaustion feeling is not about today. You see, your body is making a decision about how your day is going to go before you even get a vote. And I want to walk through why this happens from start to finish. But listen, you don't have to comment, you don't have to share this, or let anybody know you're here. You can just sit in your car with me for a few minutes. Here's what your day probably looked like. You started behind. Maybe you forgot to do something yesterday before you left work. And on your drive home, you remembered. You spent your whole commute this morning trying to figure out if anyone noticed. And you got to work as early as you could to try and fix the problem before it became a problem. And this morning, someone close to you said something or didn't say something, and you wondered if it was about you. Were they mad at you? Did you say something wrong? You weren't sure, and you're still not sure. You spent the whole day watching what you said. Every word calibrated, every expression monitored. And you walked to the break room at lunch and heard people laughing. And you wondered just for a second if that might be about you. Leaving work, you walked out with a few coworkers. They walked the other direction, and you wondered, did I say something wrong? I might have been cold last week when I was tired. Are they upset with me? Your whole system was on high alert all day. Not because anything terrible happened, but because you were scanning for anything that might mean you were in trouble, or that someone was unhappy with you, or that something was about to go wrong. And now you find yourself sitting in the parking lot, completely exhausted. And that exhaustion is not just about tiredness, it's heavier than that. It's the feeling of having managed everyone else's experience all day, while your own needs went completely unattended. I want to say something before we go further. You are not alone. There are hundreds of thousands of people sitting their own version of this parking lot, in their own version of their car. Different jobs, different relationships, but the same feeling, the same exhaustion, the same scanning, the same quiet fear that they said something wrong or someone is upset with them. You did not make this up. This is a real pattern. It has a clinical name. Sometimes it gets called people-pleasing. Sometimes it gets called codependency, though that word doesn't cover it all. Whatever we call it, the experience is real. It's common, and you are not broken for experiencing it. So let me explain what I said earlier, why your body decided before you got to make your choice. You see, your nervous system learned this a long time ago. At some point, probably when you were young, you learned that paying attention to other people's feelings was the best way to stay safe. Maybe someone who raised you struggled with addiction or chronic illness, and their moods were completely unpredictable. You never quite knew what you were coming home to or what was walking in the door. So you learned to read the room before anything happened. Maybe someone else in your home was unstable or frightening, and managing their emotions was the closest thing to safety you could get. Maybe later in life, you loved somebody who was erratic or needed constant soothing, and slowly, without noticing, your own needs stopped mattering. Whatever the reason, your nervous system did what all nervous systems do. It adapted. It learned that watching everyone and managing everyone was the best way to stay a step ahead of what others might feel. That was how you kept yourself safe. And it worked. That is the part people miss. People pleasing worked. It was a real strategy for a real situation. Here's the part that matters. Your nervous system responds faster than your conscious mind. So by the time you decided to act, your body was already braced. Your body decided you were in danger before you ever got a chance to think about it. It's like a smoke alarm that learned to go off at the smell of toast. It's not broken. It's just doing a job trying to manage a fire or put out a fire that went out a long time ago. That's not a character flaw. That's a learned response that made complete sense at the time. I'm not going to tell you it's fine, because it's not fine. It's miserable. To never feel safe when everything is fine, to be scanning all the time, to spend entire days managing other people's emotions, and to let your own go unnoticed, even by you, that is no way to live, and you deserve to take up space. You deserve to have your own wants, feelings, and needs. You deserve to not measure every word so that someone else stays calm. And somewhere underneath all of that monitoring, a part of you already knows this. That is part of the way this parking lot feels the way it does. You're not just tired. You're grieving something you may not have been able to entirely name yet. So let me say the one thing you actually need to hear. You are seen, not by everyone, but right now you are seen. You're doing a hard thing and have been for a long time. And you are good just the way you are. Not because you handled everything perfectly today, not because no one was upset, just because you are. You don't need to earn that. You can have your own needs. That is not selfish. That is not dangerous. That is just human. You don't need everyone else's approval to be okay. And I know that one hit somewhere in your chest. Part of you wants to believe it, and part of you doesn't know yet. And that's okay. You don't have to know today. Here's what I want to tell you. There is hope. I'm not going to tell you it's quick and easy. What you're carrying took years to build, and it's going to take some consistent effort to shift. I'm not a licensed therapist, and I'm not going to tell you I can fix this, but I can tell you what helps. Find someone who understands this pattern specifically, not just general talk therapy, although that can help, but someone who understands the nervous system piece, someone who gets the difference between knowing what to do and actually being able to do the thing. Find someone who will actually be able to call you out, because otherwise it will actually follow you into that relationship too. You'll just tell your therapist or coach what you actually think they want to hear to get them off your back and to please them. You'll perform being okay, and you'll manage their reactions the same way you do for everyone else in your life. You'll need someone who sees that coming and names it when it happens. That's where the real work starts. You don't have to do any of this today. You don't have to comment or share or tell anyone else you were here. Just notice this week. The pause before you say yes. The scan when you just walk into a room. The moment you check somebody else's face to decide how you should feel. Just notice. Just notice. That noticing is the first step. If you enjoyed this or it helped you, check out this one.